Good morning, afternoon, middle of the night, whatever. Anyways, today we are going to talk about taking your outline and turning it into an actual paper. So the first thing you need to focus on is the introduction paragraph. And this can be tricky for some people because it isn't just based off of the facts. Now you have to come up with a way to engage your reader. You need to make sure that the topic of your paper is clear. And something I want to mention is that you do not have to preview your main points. In fact, previewing the main points in a research paper like this is actually kind of elementary in nature, because what it's saying is that I don't know what else to say, so I'm going to rely on my main points to get me through my intro paragraph. Now, engaging the reader. That is going to be, why is this topic of interest? Is it because it's unique? Is it because it could change the reader's life? So for instance, if you're talking about something related to health, like skin cancer or a type of diet, you can tie that into the reader's health and how they can change their life. Maybe it's just information on a belief, whether it be astrology, or something like that. So you can tie into that. You can tie into the history of it. Since the beginning of mankind, they've been turning to the stars to try and tell them what is going on. So you need to be creative in this. I ask that you do not put any quotes, direct quotes, in your intro paragraph. You can incorporate one, maybe two pieces of your research in that intro paragraph, but the intro paragraph is not intended to be the bulk of your research. It's just intended to draw the reader in and let them know what the paper is going to be about. So let's take a look at the introduction paragraph that I have created on a paper about London. I've titled my paper London, a historical and cultural Mecca. And the reason I came up with this particular title is because I've decided that the paper itself is going to be about the vast amount of history and culture that London has. So, to start the paper, I said, the world is filled with amazing locations to visit, but one of the most historical and culturally diverse is London, England. Ancient and modern coexist in this ancient city that originally was only 1 square mile large. But as time progressed and England expanded, the city's diversity and radius grew. Divided by the Thames River, the north and south sides of London house Roman ruins, medieval castles, Renaissance churches, ages of theaters, acres of gardens, and even a modern Ferris wheel, promising something for everyone's enjoyment. So let's break this down a little bit. I'm starting with the very broad, that the world is filled with locations, but within this sentence I narrow down to London, England. So right away my reader can suspect that my paper is going to be about London. Then I start talking about how the city houses both ancient and modern, kind of going to that historical element, but a little tiny bit into the cultural. Then I talk for one sentence about how England grew so quickly. Then I provide the basic idea of all the different types of things a person can find in London. So that's all I have in my intro, and that's all that's needed. I don't need to have an entire page just for the introduction paragraph. So after this, I now need to figure out, how am I going to start my first body paragraph? So let's take a look at moving on to the body paragraphs. First thing you need to have in each body paragraph is a topic sentence. Once you get into the second body paragraph, you need to make sure that topic sentence has a transition in it, making it clear that you're moving from one idea to the next. You don't want to put these transition sentences at the end of the preceding paragraph, because it has nothing to do with that paragraph it's in. Instead, you keep your transitions with the beginning of the next paragraph. So the topic sentence is going to state, what is this paragraph going to be about? You need to make sure that your paragraphs are logically organized. You have to make sure you transition between ideas. And the most important thing is you have to cite everything that comes from a source even if you've paraphrased it. This is not just direct quotes. If you take information from your research and put it in your paper, even if you've put it into your own words, you have to thank the original author, and that's what this citation is. We are going to be using in-text documentation, which is the parentheses, just like we do for our literary analysis papers. One thing I want to point out is that if you have 2 or more consecutive sentences that come from the same source, you only have to cite after the last sentence containing information from that source. And you'll actually see that in a moment when I show you my own body paragraph. So looking at my outline, the very first paragraph is going to be about the Tower of London. So that needs to be mentioned in my topic sentence. So my topic sentence is going to kind of bring the reader in again, but let them know why they should visit the Tower of London. So my topic sentence is actually pretty simplistic if you look at it. One of the most iconic sights of London is the Tower of London. I don't need to put much more in there because it states what the paragraph's going to be about. Now I'm going to talk about the Tower of London. And again, I'm going to turn to my outline. And this is where the more detailed the outline, the easier the paper writing is going to be. So looking at this, I have the full name is Her Majesty's Royal Palace and Fortress, the Tower of London. Then I go on and I talk about its original uses as a royal residence, then how it's used as a prison. Then I'll talk about the crown jewel, and so on. So what I'm going to do is really just take this outline and turn it into a paragraph. Okay, so what I want you to take a look at is my outline, and you'll notice that I have on my outline where I got different information from. And my first 4 points all came from the same source, titled 25 Facts. So if I actually keep all this information in the same order that I have it in my outline, I only have to cite after this last fact, because what that's telling the reader is that everything prior to this came from the article 25 Facts. So what I've done is I came up with my topic sentence, which we've already, which I have not read to you yet, which actually draws in the first fact, and then I start telling about this information, the Tower of London. The Tower, fully named Her Majesty's Royal Palace and Fortress, the Tower of London, was built over 1,000 years ago by William the Conqueror as a royal residence and defensive fortress. Technically, the tower is still a royal residence. In fact, there is a house on site that the Queen could occupy if she ever desired. Originally, the tower was never intended to be a prison. However, it was quickly recognized that the tower was just as good at keeping people in as it was keeping them out, which led to the repurposing of the fortress. The most recent use of the tower as a prison was during World War II, when it served as a prisoner of war camp. And now I'm going to move on to the next fact, which is about the crown jewels. This paragraph, when all said and done, is going to be pretty close to 3/4 of a page to a page long. Now, depending on your topic and how many subtopics you have in your paper, you might have a paragraph that's only this long, and then you might have another paragraph that's, half a page long. They are going to vary in size. There isn't a, clear-cut rule on how long should a paragraph be. For research writing, you should not have a paragraph that's only 2 sentences long, though. So what you can do now is take a look at the sample I have given you of my outline next to this full-blown paragraph, and you can see how I've incorporated the topic sentence, transition between ideas, and included my in-text documentation. The next video you see will be on works cited pages.